Welcome to our Urban Legends podcast. I'm Dr. Gloria McDaniel Hall. I've been a teacher, a principal, and assistant superintendent, all within urban schools in Chicago and around the country. Our Urban Legends podcast is a forum for sharing ideas, strategizing together, and supporting each other as we dismantle the deficit narratives sometimes associated with urban education and discuss where and how amazing work is being done. So welcome everybody to our first episode of the Urban Legends podcast. I'm so excited to finally bring to life this dream that I've had of talking with and sharing stories from the field of education. And I'm extra excited today for this first episode because I'm joined by some people who've been in my life for a very long time. My first guest just happened to be students who attended the Chicago International Charter School Basel campus while I was principal there. I'm proud of each and every one of them, and I'm really excited that they are willing to spend a Sunday night talking to me about their experiences at Basel. So as I stated in the introduction, we want this podcast to provide a forum for the positive and a way to highlight the possible as we showcase amazing people and progress being made in urban education. We've all heard of the stories and struggles, of course, and difficulties of working in urban schools. And I admit that work is hard, but there are many more success stories, and we're here to highlight some of those success stories. So if you have a suggestion of somebody who you think I should interview on upcoming episodes, please don't hesitate to send their name. So let's get into it. Tonight, our talk is going to be more of a conversation. But before we get started, I'd like each of my guests, to briefly tell their stories, just a short synopsis of their time at Basel, how they ended up there, and maybe something that they remember and what they're doing now. So why don't we start with you, Mr. Todd Campbell?
Hi, thanks, Ms. Hall, so much for having me on this series. I'm Todd. I was a part of Basel during middle school year. So, fourth grade through eighth grade. I had a good time there. Eighth grade, or that time was like a time of kind of figuring out things for myself around that time. And I guess we'll talk about that more a little later. But I went to high school at CICS Longwood, then went to Carleton College, where I received a Posse Award, the Posse Foundation. So full tuition right there. And I studied religion and African American studies. And then from there, I went on to Duke for my master's of divinity. And now I reside in North Carolina, where I work as a hospital chaplain and a director of music at a local church in the area.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Todd.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jazzy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jasmine Zavala. I also went to Basel. Me and Todd are actually in the same class, 2008. And so me, coming to Basel, I think for me, I had came in about sixth grade. And so I did the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And when I got there, I didn't even, for me, so my story is kind of, both my parents were in jail. And so, my grandma was figuring out, where to put us in school. And so she had did the lottery for us. And so we had gotten the lottery, me and my younger sister. So we ended up going to Basel, got into Basel. And then, from there, I got the Daniel Murphy Scholarship. And that's when I ended up going to boarding. They paid for me to go to boarding school for high school or private school. The school I actually went to ended up closing after my first year. And so I ended up coming back home to Chicago. And that's when I went to some of the private schools. I went to Maria. That's why I ended up graduating from Maria High School. And then after that, the Daniel Murphy helped me get into Lawrence University, which is where I got my bachelor's. And I recently just finished my master's in school counseling. So I'm a licensed school counselor now. So and that's where I'm at now. So I'm going to be starting a job in St. Paul as a project coordinator for restorative practices.
That's exciting. Thank you so much, Jasmine. All right, twins.
Well, I'm going to go first. My name's Marie, Kelly-Lomax. I came into Basel the year 2005, so 6th grade, and we stayed throughout the year. So we graduated 8th grade. I attended CICS Ralph Ellison afterward. And then after that, I attended for my last year, Winnie Mandela. But how I ended up at at Basil, just like Jasmine said, we hit the lottery. Our grandmother was raising us, so we hit the lottery. And me, my twin sister, and our younger brother attended Basil. So that's how we ended up there. After high school, I attended Olive Harvey for about 2 years. And then after that, that was about it. But now I am at Northwestern Hospital. I am a transporter, and I'm still in Chicago. So that's what I'm doing now.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Sheree.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sheree Kelly-Lomax. I attended CICS Basil campus the 6th through 8th grade. We ended up at Basil, like Jasmine said, through a lottery. After Basil, I attended CICS Ralph Ellison for 3 years. And then my last year, I went to Walter H. Diet. After high school, I went to Kennedy King, where I studied criminal justice. And I'm still studying criminal justice. Right now, I'm at Northwestern Hospital. I work in physical therapy. And that's my spill.
So proud of all of you. So the way that I ended up at Basil, or when I got there, Basil had a really high percentage of principals turnover. I think there were like 5 principals in 6 years or something like that. And I had heard that there were a lot of discipline concerns. I saw the academic data and the test scores were really low, like 24% of the students proficient in reading and like 26 proficiencies in math. And so I knew that there was going to be a lot of work to do based on all of that. To me, though, the biggest thing, other than all those other statistical things, was getting people to believe that I was going to be there for the long haul and I was not going to give up and I wasn't going away. And that had to be something that I had to convince parents of, students of, everybody of, because we needed to create like a safe environment for students. Other than that, like you can't have school if you don't have a safe environment. So I know you all might have thought I was a little bit mean at some times, but it had to be like that. It had to be like that at the beginning. So what do you remember about the academics or the extracurriculars, the clubs, and those other things that we were able to do at Basil that might not have happened at some of your other schools? Todd, what do you remember?
I do remember the Basil Bullhorn. I was really active in that. And so the Basil Bullhorn is the newspaper at Basil. And I think at the time it was led by Miss Vendetti.
It was.
I was always writing articles there. It like gave me passion. And I found that I enjoy writing. And so I still write. Like sermon preparation, those are my favorites because, I get to write and imagine worlds on a piece of paper. The Basil Bullhorn, and I had like space to create extracurricular activities. So there's like a few guys and we were part of DOG G5G, Disciples of God Glorify God. And we would meet at the end of the day at school or during lunch and just kind of talk about God stuff. And so that was
That's
fun.
Pretty cool.
The library was open for that.
Yes. Because I remember when I first got there, the library wasn't even like a thing. And we had to go in and like put books on shelves and organize everything. And so Ms. Vendetti did help us do that. I remember that there were a lot of like social kind of services that we had for kids as well, like vision and hearing screenings. And we made community partnerships to arrange for a lot of those things to happen. Because like being a part of the community is not just being there, it's being a part of the community. That's what we had to do. Jazz, what do you remember?
Yeah, like similar to Ty, like similar down that conversation of like exposure to different stuff, and then kind of finding that niche. For me, I was always pretty quiet in schools and shy, and so it was always like, for me when I joined the drama club, that really was like, okay, I could pretend to not be myself, and then I'll be fine. So, but that's kind of how I started to like kind of open up, in school and kind of just to kind of be myself. Was like kind of joining the CICS Basil Drama Club. I kind of forgot who was running it, but I do remember, that was the first time, like getting exposed to stuff like Shakespeare, Macbeth, stuff like that, and just the exposure of it all. And, and also being a part of the newspaper, I still got my like a little newspaper clip out here, wrote one, so my family still see it.
So cool.
Still talks about it. Yeah.
That is so cool. Sheree, you remember any extracurriculars?
Actually, I was going to say the same thing Ty said about writing, journaling, because that was actually one of my favorite parts. Just being able to be comfortable to, express how you feel about stuff. We have different type of sports. I played basketball for a year, I think.
I remember that.
And that kind of that gave me that little kick to for my love of sports now.
Yeah. What about you, Marie? You remember any?
The only thing really that I remember in this band, just like everyone just said about the bullhorns of paper, and just like how Miss Vendetti, I hope I'm saying her name right. She like, it was just super cool to just have her like have us just like express ourselves like on paper and just be ourselves and like just have imagination and then for it to go on the school paper as well. And it was just pretty cool to read about our classmates, like seeing their article in the paper, like, oh yeah, look at our classmates at school, or just seeing it hung up somewhere in the hallway.
Yeah,
that was cool. So
I remember seeing you guys with your little notepads in the hallway interviewing people. Okay, so
I forgot this, but I think this was a big thing for me too. I remember we had like this program where we go to a third grade class and read books to them.
I remember that too. Actually, I feel like I remember. Yeah, that too. Vaguely, it's like real. Like you just unlocked something in my memory.
Yeah, I think that was really, really cool.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So one of the things that I hope that the podcast accomplishes is putting together the different ingredients that make a good school, not just a good charter school, just a good school, not just a good urban school, a good school. So if you were to think of just one thing that makes a good school, because the good thing is you guys were in middle school, so you had gone to other schools before. And not to say Basil was the best school, but based on all your experiences in elementary school, what do you think are necessary ingredients so that a school is actually conducive for learning? Like it has to be a place that's conducive for learning. Kids have to feel safe. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I believe the ingredients to make a good school is having a safe environment for one, so that they feel comfortable enough to come and the parents as well feel comfortable enough to put their children into a school to learn from adults. And I think that's huge, having an open environment, welcoming environment.
Yes.
And just being prepared with the fundamentals, the tools to teach children. So that's how I feel.
Yes. And the thing is, at Basil, we're going to talk about teachers in a minute, but we had a lot of brand new teachers. And somehow they still, and a lot of people were scared to be there because of where our school was located. But it didn't end up feeling like a scary place to me, even though, stuff happens because it happens in every school. But anyway, okay, so what do you think, Jazzy or Todd, about What makes
Yeah, I mean,
a school conducive for learning?
like completely agreeing with what Sheree was saying, you know, like with the safe space, you know, I'm always somebody who like the first place to start in any school is the power of relationships. You know, you can do that. You have those relationships. That's where you can empower the students. Where you can have the, you know, you have a relationship, then you can provide those resources. Where it's like the trust in, you know, the climate and all that stuff. But also, you know, like I just want to quick with options. Like, well, that's kind of the sense that what we've all been talking about. Just that exposure of options. You know, like just whatever way we can get through to the kids, just find some way to get through them. And that's really like, I feel like the key to like the ingredients, like having a good school is figuring out how to make sure the students going to be successful as a, you know, as a staff, as the educators, you know, that's what, you know, we're trying to figure out because they kids, they don't know.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, to add on to that, Jasmine, I was thinking about like the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And in order to be a part of the village, it requires relationship. And I think for Basil, it was a huge part about kind of relationship. And it wasn't like I'm coming into the city, into the hood for a charity project, and then I'm going back to my suburb. But it was, I'm planted here and I'm caring for these students. And it also extended beyond the normal school hours sometimes, of really investing in the students and students seeing, okay, yeah, these people really care about me. So I'm going to show up too, in a way that, that says I'm going to be successful as well.
That's awesome. So when I talked about the academic data, and Mr. Riff actually sent me some of the academic data to show what we were able to accomplish at Basil. And so in 2004, our reading and math scores were in like the 20%, like I said. By the time I left and you all graduated, we were almost at 70% in both of those areas. That's like almost unheard of on a state test. That wasn't just NWEA. That was on our state test. And so something was happening in those classrooms, like teaching was happening in those classrooms. So right now, I want everybody to think about their favorite teacher. I don't want you to eliminate a whole bunch of people because there were so many good teachers. But if there was a person who stood out in your memory, tell me who that person is and why. What's a special memory you have about what happened with that person? You could be a teacher or a staff member.
I think about Vanessa Vega. I always called her teacher's pet, and she was my 5th grade teacher, and she stands out to me because she was so loving and fun, and she always joked around, but she also like meant business when she meant business. She was very serious, and I remember her gifting me a book. I was really into, what was that? It was like a series, like Soup for the Soul. That's what it was. And she got me a Christian book for the teenage soul or something like that.
Yeah.
And it meant a lot to me that she kind of knew what I loved and gifted that book to me. So even now, we still check in with one another every now and again through Facebook and all of that. So, yeah.
That is so exciting. Was it like 13 or 14 years ago? Did you all oh, I'm not getting old. You guys are. But anyway.
No, it's not.
Okay,
Girl, I'm
Jazz.
almost 30.
No, don't say it. Okay, Jazz, who stands out for you?
Yeah, like for me, like it's gonna be Mr. Tang. To be honest with me, because I was always a big science nerd. I always was into my math, and so first getting there, he definitely made, science excited. And then the reason I would say, more so, like I said, with the relationship pieces, empowering the students is really what Mr. Tang had told me once, as I was like, and I'll never forget it. It was like, as I was getting ready for Daniel Murphy, like going through all the interviews and stuff, he was just straight, I was really quiet at the time. He was just straight up, he's Jasmine. You gotta look people in the eyes when you talk to them. And I was just like, oh my God, you know this? So I'm like, I'm just like, I got glasses on. How can y'all tell? And so know, but I needed to hear because it was like, it's for me, it's like I always been just, it's not that I couldn't talk, it's just like I didn't talk in schools. And so it was just like, what, I can't have this messing up what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this scholarship. So you're right. I gotta fake it till I make it. So
that's awesome.
So that's what I did. I was like,
awesome.
That was like look them in the eyes. If you don't want to, go ahead and do it. So him just being straight up, with me, and then just like, having that relationship to tell me that, like we had a relationship. So he, like he was one of my favorite teachers, like I said, like, science is always my favorite subject. So that was something I was always connected to. And, him being able to, just straight up and tell me that was just like, if we didn't have that relationship, it could have went a different way.
That's true. That is so true. All right, ladies.
It who would be my favorite if this is easy? Mr. Tang. Like, if you did not know, like, Mr. Tang stayed on me like 24/7. Like, to have a teacher like snap on you about yourself and like what you was doing, like what you gonna be when you get older. It was like, man, this teacher really do care. Like, he stayed on me, like motivated me, like seriously.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And you all don't know, like Mr. Phoenix, Mr. Tang, I could name probably 12 people. They were in the buildings on Saturday and Sunday asking me, can I have your key? Can I get in? I got to do something in my room. I need to do this. Wow. I need to do that. That we were there 7 days a week until finally I'm like, look, you guys, you have to take some time for yourself. You cannot be here every single day. I had to make a key for Mr. Phoenix. Like, here, just take it. Just go when you want to. I don't even care. He wanted to move across the street from the school. Like, you cannot do that because you'll be there all day long. Okay, Sheree.
I'm gonna say you because you help us do a lot of stuff for school and outside of school. I remember this one particular day. It was probably one of the best days of my life with you. We went to your house. I think it was on a weekend, and we had like a turkey bacon. We had a turkey bacon day.
Mr. Tang was there.
Mr. Tang came.
Yes.
And we had some projects. I think we had some science projects or something.
And we did it at my house. Yeah.
We had a ball. And I just appreciate you for everything in and outside of the school because you worked hard for all of us. Oh. And I mean the whole school because you made a huge impact. You came, you had a goal, you mastered a plan. As we say in this generation, as millennials, you understood the assignment.
You understood the assignment.
Period.
You make me scream. Thank you so much. We didn't even rehearse that. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you guys. So if you had one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who was thinking about going to work in an urban school, what would that advice be? What would you say to someone who was thinking about becoming a teacher and had options about where they wanted to go? We know that we need the best teachers in the most challenging situations, but a lot of times people don't choose to come and work in our schools because of everything that they've heard. And that's really the reason for the podcast, is so we change the narrative. But if you wanted to give some advice to somebody who was thinking about where they could make a difference, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
Okay, well, what I would say, be willing to understand what the kids come from. Be willing to have an open heart. Like, it's hard for a lot of students because of how they was raised or grew up or in their households. It's okay to have a relationship with the kids But I can't even say don't take it farther because of the teachers that I had growing up. So it's always important to have that bond with your students, no matter what. Always let them know that you're going to always be there for them, no matter what.
Thank you.
I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz, what do you think?
Yeah, complete. Like I said, our relationships are key, but also being innovative about how we engage in students. One way don't work, figure out something else. This don't work, figure out something else. Constantly try to figure out something to engage in. That's a part of that relationship piece. If you're not the person, help them in the direction to get to somebody who can. They can engage. We want to all empower all the students and empower them to be successful. Close some of these gaps because it's important.
That's amazing. Okay, Todd, take us home.
I would say get to know the students and get to know the families. I stated before, the saying, it takes a village. Like you, as a teacher, you're being invited into this village and take time to get to know, the pieces of the village and who's where and how does it function and how can I be integrated into this system, into this village, so that we can all partner in raising a child, because you're also raising a child too. You're with the child for 8 hours in a day. So
more than their parents sometimes.
Yeah. Because
the parents are at work and kids end up spending the majority of their day at school. And so what happens there becomes so super important.
Yeah.
Sheree, you got something?
Of course. I would say having an open mind about your students, like everybody said, and their families, where they come from. I also believe repetition is a big thing because the more you do it, it comes easy. You can't give up because one thing don't work. You gotta keep trying. The more you try, the better it gets. Like I said, having a big heart for students, let them know that you care and you want the best for them. And by you caring, you're willing to go out your way to figure out what works for them, how you learn, because I can be hands-on and the next person won't be. Like, just learning your students and how they go about things is big.
That's so true. And I remember when we talked before and you guys talked about how you have experienced struggle in other places where you had gone to school. And so I would imagine that children get the impression that people are going to give up on me. Of
course.
But then you come to a place where, nope, we're not going to give up on you. Nope, we're not going to give up. No matter, even if you feel like you want to give up on yourself, we're not going to give up on you. And then all of a sudden, the climate changes and everybody in the building starts to believe that it can really happen. The academics start to improve, the behavior starts to improve, attendance starts to improve, relationships with parents start to improve, and then you got a school. I think that's what happened. That's what happened at Basil, from my perspective.
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of students come to school just to be happy. That can be their happy place.
Yeah,
because you just don't know what's going on at home. So when they come to school, they're like, "Yay, you're my favorite teacher! I just know I'm going to learn something good today." And even if they don't learn something good, they know that their teacher is going to notice something's wrong with them.
Yeah, okay.
So that gives them comfortability.
Thank you guys so much. So when our last thing is, my last question is, what's on the horizon for each of you? What are you thinking that you might want to do in your future? So for me, I'm going to get this podcast going because we're getting ready to change urban education. That's what I'm going to do. I think I was born to do that. But for each of you, what are you thinking are your next steps? What are your goals and what What is it that you're kind of looking to do?
One of my goals is, and for the future, is to get back into doing a lot of volunteer work, because I used to do that coming up as a teenager, and I love volunteering, giving back, just helping out, just for the community or just for people. So that's one of my goals in the future, is to just get back into volunteering and giving back.
Nice.
I go next, I guess. A couple of my goals are, one, I'm going to finish school, my criminal justice degree, so that I can take the police exam so I can become CPD officer. Two, this upcoming year, I'm actually going to take a leap of faith, and I'm going to start training people.
Nice. I will be your number one
client.
All right, Todd, what's on the horizon?
Yeah, so I've actually been thinking about going back to school to possibly go into counseling and therapy. Because having the ability to help folks come home to themselves and to meet God in themselves, and doing it in communities like the ones I've come from. So
that's awesome. Mm-hmm. I know it's going to work. I know it's going to be amazing. Okay, Jazz.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to Chicago. To be honest, I'm trying to, get back so as soon as I get back here, first, probably starting a job as a counselor here. So I'll be looking, probably CPS, because I do want to work for the public schools most likely. But like, Maria was saying, figuring out how to get involved. Because, for me, one of the biggest things, especially being on the South Side, for me personally, I'm all about regentrification, where, the people who from these areas, we coming back and we building it up for our people. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And, I want to, my grandma, she has a building. So we trying to get a grocery store started, where we go, trying to expose, more, sustainable food and just, learning about vegetables and, stuff like that. So that's something. And I want to use my counseling stuff to, do stuff like that. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do once I get back here. I'm trying to get back here within a year.
So thank you guys so much. I couldn't have even written this any better. Everything that you all said is things that are necessary for schools to be the schools that we need them to be. So thank you. I know that we're going to transform the way that people view our schools, and we're definitely going to make a difference. So I'm just going to end with this quote from Michelle Obama. She says, "Empower yourselves with a good education, then get out there and use that education to build a country worthy of your boundless promise." And that is you all. You all are our boundless promise, each one of you. Thank you so much. And I will hopefully see you guys soon. Keep in touch.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Hall.
Thank you.
Thank you.